Most great conquerors had a head start. Caesar, old money, Mehmed, literal prince. Historically, empires aren't built by broke kids from forgotten islands. Unless you're Napoleon, let's get into it. Corsica gets sold to France by Genoa like a timeshare nobody wanted anymore. The locals did not consent to this. They kept rebelling anyway because apparently nobody asked them. One local, a lawyer named Carlo Bonaparte, looked at the situation and did what every ambitious middle manager does when a new boss shows up, immediately switched sides. France rewarded the loyalty with a noble title. Very understood the assignment of him. 1 year later, Carlo has a son, Napoleon. Kid grows up with the standard Corsican anti-French attitude, except his own dad is out here vibing with the occupation, which makes family dinners a certified war zone. You gonna give me my allowance, you French bootlicker? Excuse me? That's how you speak to your father? I'll take that, get out of my sight. Carlos' little loyalty arc backfires into a win for his son though, because now the kids qualify for scholarships to French military schools. So Napoleon gets shipped off to the mainland, gets bullied immediately, funny accent, foreign name, poor kid in a school full of rich ones. Classic villain origin story setup. Except unlike some of you doom scrolling through this video right now, Napoleon didn't just internalize it and move on. He clapped back. Constantly, man had zero chill. By his teens, he is obsessed with military history, and according to some accounts, briefly dreams of opening his own sandwich shop. The sandwich shop idea does not survive contact with his personality. He's brilliant at math and geography instead, and at 16 joins the artillery as a lieutenant. Not impressive enough for you? Fine. If your entire teenage existence has been struggling to get out of bed, sure, a lieutenant title sounds great. To Napoleon, this was a rounding error. The man had main character energy levels of ambition, and main characters want promotions. Unfortunately, pre-revolutionary France's promotion system worked exactly like this. Mr. Bonaparte, I've reviewed your file. Top scores, genuinely gifted. You're way overqualified for captain. So that's a yes? Absolutely not. We're giving it to the mayor's kid. He's terrible at this, but his dad golfs with the right people. Nepotism undefeated apparently in 18th century France. France's whole social hierarchy is held together with duct tape and vibes at this point so naturally. The peasants revolt and torch the entire monarchy. Napoleon backs the revolution, gets promoted to captain, crushes a British-backed counter-revolution, becomes a general, then puts down a royalist uprising in Paris using actual cannons pointed directly at a crowd of protesters. General, this response seems disproportionate for a street protest. It was extremely efficient. There are significantly fewer protesters now. Efficient. 26 years old, commander of his own army. Some of you are still celebrating a $100 stock market win like it's a whole personality. More was never enough though, so he marries a woman 6 years older, wealthy, socially connected, and according to plenty of gossip at the time, not exactly new to scandal. Europe's monarchies watch the French Revolution and immediately get "this could happen to me" anxiety. France, sensing the fear, basically declares war on the entire continent. Wanting to march on Vienna, they assemble 3 armies. 2 are the real deal. The decoy, meant to distract the enemy near the Italian border, gets handed to some guy named Napoleon. Congrats, King. 28 years old, first offensive command ever. Feels great, right? Except the real armies up north get pushed back hard. And the decoy, Napoleon, decides he's not playing a supporting role anymore and turns himself into the whole plot. Splits his army into 4 columns, outmaneuvers everyone, steamrolls Austrian forces so efficiently that the actual French government is left standing there like an NPC watching the main quest complete itself without them. The loot funds France's recovering economy. Soldiers who hadn't been paid in years finally get their money. His troops have noticeably higher morale than everyone else's because, plot twist, soldiers actually like winning. Comes home a hero. The government, watching a 27-year-old become terrifyingly popular, decides the healthiest response is shipping him somewhere far away. Egypt. When Napoleon invaded Egypt, he didn't just pack cannons and gunpowder. He brought 167 scientists, historians, and artists. Because why conquer a country like a normal dictator when you can bring a walking Google search into an active war zone? Spoiler alert, the military campaign went worse than a budget airline layover. Admiral Nelson showed up, turned the French fleet into underwater real estate at the Battle of the Nile, and left Napoleon's entire army stranded in the desert with zero return tickets. So there they are, baking in the sun, trapped in the sand. Suddenly, a few French soldiers digging at a fort accidentally unearthed a heavy slab of granite, the Rosetta Stone, a single rock that cracked a 1,000-year-old language barrier and unlocked every ancient secret on Earth. Basically, the most productive side quest in human history. Militarily, a catastrophic 0 out of 10. For archaeology, an absolute 10 out of 10 accidental masterclass. So what did Napoleon do with tens of thousands of his men stranded in the desert? He pulled the ultimate 18th century ghosting move, quietly hopped on a boat and slipped back to Paris. General, your entire army is trapped in the desert with no ships. Correct? And you are personally sneaking out on the last boat? Listen, we found a really cool rock with ancient scribbles on it. I consider that an absolute win. Good luck with the heat. Comes home to find out Josephine's been seeing someone else the entire time he was gone. Josephine, seriously? Babe, you weren't this famous yet. My bad, never again. Fine, I'm going to go consult my generals about this for the next 30 minutes. By consult, we mean something else entirely. By generals, we mean one specific woman. By 30 minutes, we mean approximately 90 seconds. Meanwhile, the French government is barely holding together. A politician decides to stage a coup and needs the country's most powerful man to pull it off. You already know whose phone is ringing. Napoleon overthrows the government. They set up a new system with three consuls sharing power. Except when Napoleon hands them the paperwork, they treat it like a software terms and conditions update. They don't read a single word, just check the I accept box and accidentally sign over absolute power. Full dictator, no notes, now in charge, he rewrites the entire legal system into the Napoleonic Code. It's a document so genuinely brilliant, it's still the legal backbone of dozens of countries today. But while it was a masterpiece for modern law, it was a massive downgrade for women. The code stripped away their legal independence, giving husbands absolute authority over their wives. Napoleon basically invented the modern awards and incentives system. He created the Legion of Honor in 1802, an award given purely on merit and achievement, regardless of birth or social class. Considering his own promotion got blocked by a random mayor's kid earlier in this exact video, the guy basically built an entire honor system out of personal spite. Iconic behavior, honestly. Consul isn't a big enough title anymore, so he crowns himself emperor at the ceremony with the actual pope standing right there holding the crown, ready to do the honors the traditional way. Your Holiness, I've got this. That's traditionally my one job. Not today. Then, immediately after, he crowns Josephine Empress too. So, at minimum, the man had range. Every monarch in Europe looks at a self-crowned Corsican reshaping the continent's power structure and has a collective meltdown. The third coalition forms. They think they can beat him. Historically, massive mistake, because the guy's tactics are annoyingly, genuinely elite. A loyal army that sees him as one of their own, relentless, battlefield deception, and the real killer feature, speed. Split into smaller, faster units, his army routinely outmaneuvers slower, heavier enemy forces. Prussia tries their luck the following year, also crushed. Britain unbeatable on land because they simply don't send an army worth beating, wins at sea instead, wrecking the combined French-Spanish fleet at Trafalgar, unable to sink the entire Royal Navy. Napoleon goes economic warfare mode, bans the entire continent from trading with Britain. Britain retaliates by blockading French ports right back. Everyone gets a little poorer. Nobody backs down. Very final boss standoff energy. Spain, sick of Napoleon meddling in their politics, erupts into a brutal guerrilla war. French officers privately start calling a wound that just won't close. He wins another coalition war against Austria anyway, divorces Josephine for not producing an heir, and marries an Austrian archduchess instead. By 1812, he's sitting at the literal top of the continent. The only sensible move is retirement. Instead, hearing Russia's been secretly trading with Britain, he assembles the largest army Europe has ever seen and marches straight at Moscow. The Russians refuse to fight directly, just retreat, burning everything behind them. He reaches Moscow. It's already on fire, mostly set by the Russians themselves. Nothing to conquer, nobody to negotiate with. Then winter shows up and ends the whole campaign personally. Fewer than 100,000 of his 600,000 soldiers make it home. Rock bottom, but make it historical. Every European power piles on at once. Old allies switch sides. He fights on two fronts simultaneously, wins battles on both, and still loses the war because, and even his own generals admit this, the man simply cannot be in two places at once. Paris falls, he abdicates. His enemies restore the exact royal family the revolution overthrew in the first place, which is peak dramatic irony. Exile to Elba, a small island roughly the size of a large farm. Emperor of Europe to Emperor of a farm. In one very bad year, he escapes within 10 months, lands in France with about 1,000 men. The king sends a battalion to arrest him. The battalion arrives, looks at him, and joins him instead. This happens repeatedly, all the way to Paris. Retakes the entire country without firing a single shot. 400 days. Then Waterloo happens in June 1815 and the run is over. Permanently. No more comeback arcs. They exile him to St. Helena, this time. A volcanic speck in the middle of the South Atlantic, watched constantly by 2,000 British troops, thousands of miles from anywhere that could possibly matter. Officially, stomach cancer killed him in 1821. The plot twist, high arsenic levels suggest his bedroom's green wallpaper might have done the job. Conquered a continent possibly undone by interior design. That's Napoleon. Forget British propaganda. He was a mocked island kid who became history's greatest tactical mind. A general who crowned himself because he trusted no one else. Undefeated on the battlefield, defeated only by geography, unchecked ego, and quite possibly a bad paint choice. If you made it here, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next live. LoreVox out.